What is up, Z Fighters? It's Manga Adventures, and you liked part 1, so here's part 2. If you want a part 3, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so I know you want more. But before we jump right into it, I just have to say thanks for all the Goku power level comments. You guys are hilarious. Keep being awesome. Okay, let's start the story. First things first, I need to elaborate on how long it would take Frieza to get to Earth. In the original, it took him about 34 days to get to Namek. After hearing about Namekians during the Saiyan saga, adding the 6 days it takes a Saiyan pod to get to Namek from Earth means it would take Frieza around 40 days to arrive on Earth from wherever he was at during the transmission. I came to this conclusion seeing that the Z Fighters rested for 6 days before taking off. One of the days was to get situated in the hospital, and 5 was to get Kami's ship ready, and then arriving on Namek at 34 days. Before being told by Frieza grunts they should have come last week, meaning Frieza has been there for less than 7 days. That is one way to look at it, but I see it in another way. Hear me out, I believe that Frieza was already on his way to Earth, because if the comms and the scouter are always open to the point Frieza overheard Nappa calling Piccolo and Namekian during a casual conversation, then they had to have been open when they first mentioned the Dragon Balls after killing Raditz in canon. So I feel like Frieza was always listening and made a beeline to Earth before changing course to Namek. So for this timeline, it would take him a year to get to Earth. Now, in this version, he didn't start heading to Earth until now because he had no reason to get any stronger. Kami's potential unlocked seemed unappealing to him, in my personal opinion, of course. I don't think he would care if his army got any stronger because, from what it looks like, he has the universe on lock. No rebellions are happening that we know of. All this meaning it would take him a year to get to Earth, though this is, of course, my headcanon. You can say Frieza wanted to sell Earth and use the power increase as a selling port, or he wanted to kill Vegeta for even thinking about getting stronger. I could have worked with either timeline, but the year gives me more story wiggle room to work with. Speaking of, our story begins with Frieza now knowing about the Dragon Balls on Earth. Raditz warns the Z Fighters of his overwhelming strength, and even working together they would be unable to face him. But of course, Goku isn't going to give up without a fight. First things first, they need to train Raditz and have his potential unlocked. So they head up to the lookout to meet up with Kami, who has a very concerned look on his face. If what you said is true, Frieza poses a threat not only to the Earth, but the entire universe. If he gets his hands on the Dragon Balls, who knows what terrible things he can wish for. You can't defeat a tyrant like that by training on Earth, but there is somewhere you can go. Kami teleports himself and all the Z Fighters to King Yema's desk to ask for permission to train with King Kai, explaining they're doing so to defeat Frieza. Of course, getting rid of the genocidal tyrant will lighten his workload, so King Yema agrees. But Kami has some unfortunate news. He wants one of them to stay on Earth in fear of Piccolo attacking. He explains after getting his potential unlocked that Piccolo's on the sidelines, not only training just as hard as them in preparation for the Saiyans, but watching the battle unfold. He doesn't know what he's thinking, but he doesn't want the Earth unguarded for however long they would be gone. Tien doesn't hesitate to step up. Goku is their best bet against Frieza, and Tien is the only one amongst them who knows the Mafuba, so he feels he's the most logical choice. Chaozu, not wanting to leave his buddy's side, decides to stay as well. Goku has faith Tien and Chaozu can handle Piccolo and promises he'll get his chance to train as well. But before the group flies off, Kami unlocks Raditz's potential so he doesn't fall behind. And with a new burst of power, they make their way to King Kai. Originally, it took Goku 2 days to go from King Kai's planet to King Yema's desk, but with a power level of 30,000, it should be almost instant. Yamcha and Krillin would get there soon after. Raditz, not wanting to be carried there, flies himself. And even with his potential unlocked and it slowly growing over time, it would take him a little under a day to get there. Of course, King Kai was confused, going from no visitors to 4 in 2 days. But after explaining the situation and telling a few good jokes, he agrees to train all of them. Now with everyone's power level so high, they feel little to no effect from the 10 times gravity of King Kai's planet, but getting used to the gravity higher than normal is a part of the training, and since their goal is Frieza, the most powerful being that they know of in the universe, this is no time to cut corners. So to get the full effects of King Kai's training, he gives each of the Z Fighters weights similar to what Buu Saga Goku had training in Otherworld. Each weighing differently depending on the person, but still giving the same effect that the 10 times gravity would have. So Goku would have the heaviest and Raditz would have the lightest. After 36 days of training, an unexpected guest arrives on Earth. 18 days after his defeat, Vegeta is finally healed on a random Frieza planet. On said planet, he hears from Kui about the Dragon Balls and how Frieza wanted them, so he doubled back to Earth to gather them himself. His power level would still be 24,000 because there's no reason to be higher, so at this point, he's evenly matched with this version of Tien. Tien definitely wasn't expecting Vegeta to return, but he isn't about to back down from this fight. He heads to the crash site of the pod. The prince immediately recognizes him as one of Kakarot's friends and wants him to tell the location of the Dragon Balls. If he does so, he'll spare his life. When Tien refuses to do so, Vegeta gives a crooked smile on his face before rushing the Triclops, who's barely able to react in time with a block. I'll kill you before Kakarot has a chance to get here. Like I said before, the two are dead even in terms of power, so this battle will depend on skill. To tip the scales in his favor, Tien uses the 4 witches technique, growing 2 extra arms, allowing him to attack with twice the intensity and no power drain. This flurry of extra blows does give Tien the advantage, Vegeta unable to block all the attacks, and he takes sustainable damage. Tien, not wasting this opportunity, uses a Dodon Ray, landing a major wound on the prince, thinking that would keep him down. But as we've seen in the Saiyan saga, Vegeta is very durable, and the name of the Saiyan game is adaptability. Even injured, Vegeta refuses to give up, not accepting he could lose to a pathetic human. Tien's 4 arms that once gave him the edge are now being parried and countered by the prince. The Saiyan is growing as the fight continues. Tien notices this and withdraws his extra arms. Thinking to himself he has to end this fight now, he tells Chaozu to hold him as he flies up. Vegeta looks around before a mysterious force holds him in place. Chaozu is at a distance using his psychic powers that have been enhanced by Kami's ability unlock. With this brief restraint, Tien uses the Tri-Beam when he's high enough in the sky. The attack thankfully connects, but leaves Tien heavily winded as it uses life energy. Though this attack isn't enough to keep the prince down as he slowly rises from the crater, injured but furious. Tien doesn't hesitate to fire another Tri-Beam at Vegeta. This one causes him to struggle to stay in the air as Chaozu comes over extremely worried. Though Vegeta is not down for the count, although he comes out the crater bleeding profusely and much slower than last time, Tien gets ready for a 3rd Tri-Beam, but Chaozu pleads for him not to, saying he could die. But Tien tells his friend he promised Goku he would protect the Earth, and he intends to keep that promise even if it costs him his life. He fires the final Tri-Beam with his remaining energy, and when this attack lands, Tien waits to see if Vegeta comes back up, but after he doesn't, he falls from the sky, barely being caught by the small Chaozu. The battle seemed to be over, but another warrior had arrived on scene. Piccolo comes and assesses the situation. The Namekian flies down to where Vegeta is, and after seeing his finger twitch, indicating he's still alive, he kills him with his own hands. Only I will rule the earth, he mutters, before directing his focus on an unconscious Tien. As he slowly walks forward, he's stopped by Chaozu's psychic abilities, refusing to allow another step. Piccolo just smiles, wondering how long he could hold him, because as soon as it drops, they're both dead. Chaozu then declares he's a coward. He only attacked because both fighters were injured and he didn't sense Goku. He's been watching in the shadows this whole time because he knows Goku will beat him like he did before. This infuriates the former Demon King, but unlike his father, He wants to prove he is the strongest on this planet before ruling it. It was that whole reason he entered the world tournament instead of immediately just blowing up cities, and even went as far as to follow the rules of said tournament. So he flies off giving Chaozu a message. Tell Goku, I won't wait long for our rematch. Chaozu burns his message into his mind before flying Tien to Korin's tower, making it in time to eat a sensu bean Korin has been growing, saving his life. With Vegeta dead and the Earth safe for now, we can focus on King Kai's training. 150 days after arriving, or 122 days after Vegeta's death, the group have all reached a new pinnacle of power. Krillin now has a power level of 440,000, Yamcha 380,000, Raditz 370,000, and finally Goku at 570,000. Though the last two didn't just get stronger, the two brothers also learned the Kaioken, but only the pure-hearted Goku got a grasp of the Spirit Bomb, though Raditz used that extra time to figure out higher Kaioken levels. King Kai declares that training is over and they can return to Earth to await the arrival of Frieza, but don't forget to hone their skills. The group returns to Earth and go their separate ways. Goku and Raditz go to the Sun household, while Krillin goes to Kami's house. Yamcha informs Tien that they finished training, and Tien and Yamcha go to King Kai's planet for their 158 days. Tien's power level will be 460,000 and Chaozu's will be 150,000. Now while Tien is training on King Kai's planet, Raditz doesn't like the idea of being behind his brother, obviously, so the two become sparring partners. And thanks to the Saiyan's ability to grow as they fight, it doesn't take long to catch up and actually become a good sparring partner to Goku. I say after 2 months, they both reach even higher levels of strength at 740,000. Though everything's not just training in the Sun household, because Goku and his brother came across a little culture shock. You see, Raditz wants Gohan to train. He's a half Saiyan with crazy potential. Raditz Scouter picked up a power level of 700 when he was kidnapped, and if he trains them, he could surpass any pure-blooded Saiyan. But Goku declines. He'll only train Gohan if he wants to be trained, and at this moment, Gohan has no interest in doing so. This confuses Raditz. If you're born strong, you don't have a choice, you become a warrior and fight in the Saiyan army. So why is his brother raising him to waste his potential? Goku agrees with him, but it's his potential to waste. Goku is just as disappointed, but there's nothing they can do. Though Raditz refuses to accept that, and one day he takes Gohan in the guise of shopping to train him, thinking his Saiyan blood will boil over and a warrior will be born. But that doesn't happen. Raditz tries a few scare tactics to get him to fight, but he still has feelings for his nephew. He isn't actually going to hurt him, so he doesn't do anything crazy like throwing him into a mountain and hoping for the best. But all these think fast gimmicks do is make the now 6-year-old cry, in turn making Raditz extremely uncomfortable. He returns Gohan disappointed, not understanding the human side of this boy, and Goku tells him to go out and try to understand. They still have time left until Frieza arrives. Go explore the world he's about to protect. Maybe you'll see it in a new light. And you know what? Maybe Kakarot was right. There's no reason to stay here. They both pushed each other to their limits. Maybe he can find the answer he's looking for on Earth. This is the planet Kakarot grew up on, after all. And a feeling in his stomach makes him think his mother would have enjoyed traveling this peaceful world. A little more than a month passes to the arrival of Frieza. The Z-Fighters all wait for the ship. Frieza walks out with the Ginyu Force by his side, not spooked by the 30,000 reading of Goku back in the Saiyan saga, but he still wants to be prepared. He demands that they tell him where the Dragon Balls are so he can wish for immortality, and if they cooperate, he'll spare their lives. Tien rolls his eyes, having heard that before, though when you look over at Goku's face, all you see is disappointment. He expected more from this so-called emperor, but right next to him, Raditz is shaking out of pure instinct. He tells everyone to be wary of the Ginyu Force. They all have special abilities that would make their gap in power meaningless, so they need to work together. Seeing his brother like this, Goku takes charge. He demands Frieza leave this planet at once. There's no way he can win, but Frieza just laughs. The Ginyu Force has the newest scouters, and all the Z fighters appear to be in the thousands. They're no threat whatsoever, so Frieza snaps his finger to cue the Ginyu Force to start taking them out. Raccoon happily steps up, and in the blink of an eye charges Krillin, whose power level is rated as lowest, to make an example of. Though, Krillin blocks the attack with a single finger, looking slightly annoyed. You didn't attack me because I was the smallest, right? He then counters with a front kick to the chin, sending Raccoon flying through Frieza's main ship, destroying it. This upsets the tyrant, who orders the death of Krillin. Jess and Berta try attacking together, but Krillin blocks them from both sides, blowing them away with ease. Godo tries stopping him with telekinesis, but Yamcha comes in with the assist, knocking out Godo, having listened to the advice of Raditz. Ginyu is starting to piece together that he's suppressing his power, so he asks him to reveal his true strength. Krillin gives a sheepish grin before powering up. It's now his time to shine, his ki spike causing all the scouters to break in the process. Before they did, he clocked in at a few 100,000. Ginyu is eager to switch bodies, but Yamcha, again with the assist, helps Krillin out before anything could happen. Frieza looks around at the defeated Ginyu Force before firing death beams at each of their hearts. Weakness will not be tolerated. He steps out of his pod, disgusted he has to dirty his hands, but he wants his wish for immortality. He aims his death beam at Krillin, but Goku finally steps in, deflecting the blast. He tells Krillin he'll take it from here before glaring at Frieza. The tyrant isn't phased and begins firing a flurry of death beams, to which Goku easily deflects them all, but with this display of power, Frieza just laughs. It's been a while since he got a good exercise, he says, before transforming into his second form. He then rushes Goku, grabbing him by the face before slamming him into the ground, dragging him like a ragdoll. Last I remember, this power clocked in at over 1 million. Though this cockiness is cut short when he hears the word Kaioken. Raditz jumps in with his red aura, kicking him off his brother, and follows up with a barrage of punches to the stomach that knocks the wind out of Frieza before backing away and firing a double Sunday, which engulfs the tyrant. Raditz is breathing heavily, not taking his eyes off the blast, but when the dust settles, Frieza walks out in his final form. You're Vegeta's lackey, aren't you? Raditz responds with Kaioken times 20 at the top of his lungs before charging forward, but he's stopped mid-assault by Frieza's tail. You look a little unfamiliar, all cleaned up. Frieza then repeatedly punches him in the kidney until he coughs up blood. There, now you're starting to look familiar. He then tightens his tail until Raditz's face turns blue. Goku tries rescuing his brother with Kaioken times 20, but is backhanded by Frieza. The flies on this planet are abnormally large. Frieza takes his time to shoot a death beam at Goku. This infuriated Raditz, who bites Frieza's tail with all his might to get free. He then stumbles to his brother. Krillin is ready to head over to give them senzu beans, though a pissed off Frieza fires a death beam at the fleeing Raditz for biting his tail. But Tien, without hesitation, jumps in front of the blast, taking the attack. Yamcha then uses this opportunity to do the Wolf Fang Fist, only to get impaled by Frieza. Though this bought Krillin enough time to give Goku and Raditz the senzu beans, the two gaining massive Zenkais thanks to healing up from near death. But that's not the only thing for Goku, who just saw two of his closest friends die, so he could have the chance to heal up. His anger overflows until finally he becomes a legendary Super Saiyan, nearly 10 times stronger than his canon counterpart. But unlike canon, when Goku starts manhandling Frieza and the tyrant tries blowing up Earth like he did with Namek, Goku is fast enough to intercept the death ball and kick it back into space. Frieza then screams if he was at 100% he would win easily, and Goku happily allows him to charge up so he can beat him at his best. But once he does, Frieza for some reason tries charging forward at Goku's Kamehameha covered in a ball of energy, but unlike canon, this is where the fight ends. Goku easily overpowers the tyrant, wiping him off the face of the earth. He then powers down and his first thought is to wish back his friends that died, which they do without a hitch because the Dragon Balls have already been gathered just in case something happened. With the status quo restored, Goku wants to take this time to control this new transformation, while Raditz wants to unlock it for himself. But he knows the answer to that power may lie in the people he met on his journey trying to understand humans. Goku not one to peer too deep, tells his brother good luck and can't wait to see him again when he becomes a Super Saiyan. And this is where I'll end part 2. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I tried getting it out as fast as possible. I know the Vegeta fans didn't finish the video up in arms that their favorite character had died to Tien no less. He should have countered, destroyed the earth, wished for immortality, become Super Saiyan 4 or something like that. But I feel this was appropriate for this story, and I also have faith that you guys will enjoy this version of Raditz and his journey to fill that print-shaped hole in all your hearts. Speaking of Raditz, who do you think he met on his journey around the earth? Leave your guesses in the comments, and also don't forget to like and subscribe so I know you'll want a part 3. If this does well, it will come out as soon as possible. But until then, can't wait to see you guys in the next video.